Mike's on.
Mike is on. Okay, thank you.
Told them they didn't have to join, but they could.
Okay, it is now 6:30. I'm going to call this special meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Elthon,
Here.
Nystrom,
Here.
Pritchard,
Here.
Teven,
Here.
Melhouse.
Here. Okay, we're going to move on to we have 3 items on the agenda tonight. First one is the select architect for the high school gym, HVAC, and homeschool / futures building project. Ms. Strickland.
So we had spoken last time at the board table about the potential project that would involve remodeling the gym and a building that would share homeschool and futures. So the board facilities committee met with 3 architect firms and were able to determine which architectural firm would have the resources as well as the most cost-effective plan for us. And I would recommend that we move forward with Hala Architecture as our architect for this potential project. I do want to remind people that this project was a planned project and one that's being paid for with sales tax funds and not property tax funds. So just a reminder that this is a different project than something like what we scheduled for our elementary building. This is a sales tax funded project that we're talking about.
And we already have the sales tax revenue guarantee coming in.
Yes.
This month, we'll bond you some
Right.
money earlier.
Correct.
And we interviewed 3 firms. And they were stuck out. They have done a lot of school work here in Central Iowa. Check out that. Questions for Ms. Strickland, Jeremy, and I? For those who do not know, the board is broken up into some subcommittees on different areas. Mr. Pritchard and I do the buildings and maintenance. Mr. Elfin and I think that Stephen do public relations. The 2 ladies do, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dr. Nystrom does public relations, and then the 2 ladies on
No.
educational policy.
No.
So,
Can I ask real briefly, what else have you sales tax fund for, or do you have any anticipated other needs in the future that we would use sales tax fund for?
Currently, we use it for our sales tax bonds. We also have it, we purchased a land with that money. We'll pay for the road from that money as well. And then other large projects if they would come up. Our bond payments right now are about 60% of what we get per year. So there's some money sitting in there.
Thank you.
Yep.
This doesn't necessarily mean we have to do the projects. This is
Right.
taking the steps to design them, lay them out, engineer them. If they go to bid and they're well over budget, there's no obligation to do it like the elementary school, you know.
Right.
anytime a school spends, I believe it's $50,000 or,
For bidding,
yeah, that we have to have an architect. So
140 something this year.
$140,000.
Mhm.
We have, on maintenance, a building project, we have to engage a licensed architect to approve, to develop the bids, et cetera, the guidance through the process. So,
You guys just wanted to-
Yep. I think that's good. Yep. Yep.
Any other questions?
One really neat thing about Hala, there's really only 2 things for me that made them stand apart, is they were more local, and Julie asked all 3 of the architects that we interviewed, how willing they would be to bring in students throughout the entire process, edge students or whatever, and Halo seemed by far the most excited about that. I thought that was pretty neat. I think it'll be really cool for our students.
I was real pleased to see.
Yeah, they were impressed and firm.
They also have in-house resources that some of the other firms did not have, so that was also attractive.
Definitely high.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve that we hire Hava Architecture to help us with these projects as listed.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Pritchard, seconded by Mrs. Bevan to approve the hiring of Hale and Associates to assist us with the aforementioned architectural projects. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. The second item on the agenda is the setting of the administrators and central office staff salaries for the 2021-2022 school year.
This is the last group of staff that we have not yet approved, and so I would recommend approval of the schedules as presented.
It is a move and seconded to approve the administrative and central office staff salaries as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Third item on the agenda is the COVID-19 mitigation strategy. If anyone has been watching the media the last 5 days' time, you probably got some whiplash. Thanks to the CDC and our state government. I am talking with dual hats right now on. For those of you who do not know, I also serve as chairman of the Boone County Board of Health and also as medical director for the Boone County Public Health Nurses. That being said, on Thursday, the CDC came out releasing guidelines saying we can get rid of masks in many public settings. But they also said that the CDC guidance does not subserve any local or regional government control or recommendation. Now, with that said, some people said, okay, we can get rid of them. Masks in schools. Hooray, if we're vaccinated. Time out. Our school buildings, 80 to 85% of the people in the school buildings are unvaccinated because they are under age 16. Even though Pfizer 10 days ago got okay to use Pfizer vaccine down to 12 and above, even if you got your Pfizer vaccine last week, those kids all got them. None of them would be technically clear for Pfizer until 2 weeks after their second shot, which is 3 weeks. So none of your 12 to 15-year-olds are going to be clear yet this school year. So the CDC whiplashed backwards on Saturday. Most people did not see this in the press. CDC came out on Saturday and said they are recommending that school districts continue their current masking and COVID prevention protocols through the rest of the academic year. And then, considering the fall, going back to a more or less normal status. So at this point in time, my recommendation to this board would be to continue to recommend mandatory masking for everyone inside Boone school buildings. Those activities taking place outside, for instance, track meets, baseball games, softball games, tennis meets, probably it'd be okay to allow them to be held with no masks being present either by the athletes or in the stand. But inside the buildings, the recommendation would be to continue our current goals, which our staff and students have done a very good job abiding by. And it's helped kept our absentee rates and complications from COVID in the county very low. That being said, I'll entertain questions, discussions from any other board members. Ms. Stigler?
Yeah, can I actually mention that Iowa Department of Public Health did come out with new quarantine guidelines on Friday that they are clarifying even now as we speak. The clarification that they are going to have is regarding the quarantining when students are exposed. So they are maintaining the quarantining of individuals who have household exposures for the 10 days, but the change that they made on Friday afternoon was that if there's an exposure that's non-household, that we would still be notifying families and the families would be deciding whether they were going to quarantine those students or not, and it would be a family decision. So that is something that I think the board should be aware of when you're making this decision, knowing that some students who are exposed, for example, at lunch, because we do have occasional positive cases still in our system, that families may choose to still send their child when they're asymptomatic. If they're symptomatic, we still ask that they stay home, but not all students are symptomatic. So they may choose, if they were exposed, to still send them to school and not quarantine, whereas for the past however many months, they've been required to quarantine if they've been exposed. So that's a change from the Iowa Department of Public Health that may impact your conversation tonight at the board table.
Right, and that got explained to the board, to all the county public health nurses today in a Zoom conference. And they're pretty firm with that. I think that's reasonable. But they also still recommend staying the course as far as the masks inside buildings for the next 14 days now that we have left, or 13 days actually.
13 days.
13 days.
And I would,
Kids.
and I was also going to share that the school nurses wanted me to share with the board also that their recommendation from their perspective is to continue the course for the remainder of the school year for our current mitigation strategies inside, that they would like to see that continue for the remainder of the year.
What does this do for summer school?
Do for what?
Summer school?
Oh. Well, summer school would take place more in July, so then that would mean that that would be optional, is my understanding. Yeah.
Our summer
Yeah.
school will be mainly of kids 12 years and above. So they would have an opportunity between now and then to be vaccinated. Just a little sidebar here. Boone County Public Health has been able to get a hold of approximately 400 to 500 doses of Pfizer. We are working with the school nurses. Parents listening out there, school nurses will probably be getting in contact with you either through email or other means to get you to sign or give approval for your kids to receive the Pfizer vaccine, and we hope to be giving that sometime next week, the first dose.
So
The project, if you want to get your child sooner, Ivy does have it now.
So maybe that is something to discuss is through the rest of the year and summer school, because
I would really be sad if we got this far, new school year, we have 13 days left. And then all of a sudden there would be an outbreak at our high school, which would mess up baseball or other activities. And that would just be most unfortunate. And when you look at some of the stats that are out there, Brian, I don't know, but they're saying 20% of the cases now are teenagers or youth. And that could really, let's not end the year that way.
So C came out and changed their mind, kind of how they came out. Is that correct? Where they backpedal on Saturday?
Correct.
Iowa Department of Public Health backpedal on anything after they came out with the announcement. Because on their last thing, it was we urge schools and childcare settings to provide parents and students with the option to make their own decision about mask use. And that was from the Iowa Department of Public Health.
Right, that was on Friday, and they have not changed anything
Yes.
since that time. Even
CDC is
though,
recommending we do local level stuff and county regulations, correct?
there is no county regulation on this. The county board of health, we cannot put it on the agenda as a voting item because it came up too late. However, at this time, my recommendation and board of health supported was to hold the course for the rest of the year based on the CDC guidance on Saturday, once they finally realized. Plus, looking at the fact that the majority of the kids inside, people inside our buildings are unvaccinated.
Yes, my last comment, I'm just gonna leave it at that, I feel like a lot has been taken from our senior class this year, and a lot of opportunities. We were lucky in our district getting people to have their, but to talk about normalcy and getting back to normalcy. I think it's starting to move that direction, which is fantastic. But I guess my thoughts on this is I would love for the last couple of weeks of school for our senior class to have the opportunity to not have to wear a face covering, to get to see some of their classmates more, based on what the Iowa Department of Public Health came out with on Friday.
Okay. What we did say, or what I did say was, as far as outdoor activities, which graduation right now is an outdoor activity. That would be without masks, plus when they're out in the parking lot, every place else, machines, and they're in athletic practices, anything outdoors, they'll be allowed not to wear their mask now. The thing you always worry about is what happens when you start finding kids all of a sudden graduating weekend start turning positive for COVID because we're allowed now. We've gotten this far.
I would move that we continue our mitigation efforts as they currently are through the end of the school year, the last 13 days, with allowing kids not to wear masks at sporting activities outside that are outside activities, and we determine summer based on numbers. The numbers stay the same, and if people are getting vaccinated, then we could remove the mask mandate for summer school for those that are 12 and above.
That decision we had in the meeting.
That decision we made at the June meeting, yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded to continue our COVID-19 measures, except outside masks will no longer be necessary. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Hearing no further.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Students get out on the 4th. After students are out, this motion, does that go through June 12th or does that go through June 4th? Because we have staff here the 7th and 8th.
Through the official end of the school year, which would include faculty members
Okay.
being on site.
Okay. Just clarifying question, that's helpful, because I know that'll be a question.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? Hearing no further questions, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries 4-1. Is there any further discussion for the board tonight? Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
The moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
By 3 minutes.
I-
There